She walked away, saying, "I need to find myself." Months later, she did. But by then, I'd built a better life. One that no longer had space for her. Hey everyone! Before we start, make sure you're subscribed and have the bell on. You won't want to miss stories like the one you're about to hear. 3 weeks had passed since Gabrielle walked out of their home in Charlotte, leaving Daniel with nothing but a note about needing space. She said she wanted to rediscover herself, to grow as a person outside the shadow of marriage that had apparently become too limiting for her expanding horizons. Daniel hadn't begged her to stay. He simply watched her drive off with 2 suitcases, wondering when exactly his wife had started seeing him as the cage instead of the comfort. Those first days had been strange, silent, but eventually peaceful. He threw himself into his work, handling network installations across the Southeast, and into quiet evenings at the community pool where no one knew him as the husband whose wife left. For the first time in years, no one criticized his cooking, his clothes, or how he spent his weekends. The house was calm. That Saturday afternoon, Daniel was under the sink fixing the garbage disposal when someone began pounding on the front door. The knock wasn't polite. It was frantic. Through the peephole, he saw Gabrielle. She looked nothing like the composed woman who'd left 3 weeks ago. Mascara streaks cut down her cheeks. Her hair was a mess, and in one trembling hand, she clutched a small bouquet of wilted supermarket roses. When he opened the door, her voice cracked. "Daniel, please, I desperately need to talk to you." There was panic in her tone, the kind that didn't exist even at her father's funeral, or after their miscarriage 2 years earlier. "I made such a terrible mistake," she cried. "I can't live without you. Please, just talk to me." Daniel leaned against the doorway, calm and quiet, studying her like a technician examining a broken system. Her hands shook. Her eyes darted, searching for the right words to steer the conversation her way. He took a slow breath. "Did Tyler Stevens dump you after he got what he wanted?" Her face drained of color instantly. The roses slipped from her hand and hit the concrete softly. For a second, time froze between them, the same way it did right before a power circuit burned out. Her expression said it all. The neighbors across the street pretended to tend their garden, watching the scene unfold like a live drama. Gabrielle's attempt at dignity collapsed right there on the porch. Daniel stepped back inside, leaving the door open. She followed silently, her heels scraping the floor. Inside, he told her everything. How he had already known. How she had left her laptop open the morning before her dramatic exit, and how her secret conversations with Tyler had been sitting right there in plain sight. She broke down on the couch, the same couch where she'd delivered her "I need to find myself" speech. Through sobs, she confessed Tyler Stevens, her old high school sweetheart, had messaged her while planning their class reunion. He'd said his fiancée didn't understand him, that he'd made a mistake not choosing Gabrielle all those years ago. "At first, it felt magical," she said. Expensive dinners, long calls that lasted until sunrise, talk of escaping together to Europe or buying a house in the mountains. He'd made her feel young again, like the girl who'd once been adored instead of the wife she now called boring. But after she slept with him 3 nights ago, everything changed. Tyler grew distant, replying to her texts with one-word answers until finally admitting that he was staying with his fiancée. "You were just nostalgia," he'd told her. Now she sat there, shattered, crying into her hands. He called our whole relationship a nostalgia trip. "Daniel, he said I was just fun." Daniel didn't raise his voice. He didn't even move. He simply watched her the way he would watch a system collapse, one component at a time. "So," he said quietly. He got what he wanted and disappeared. Gabrielle nodded, sobbing harder. The irony hit Daniel sharply. She had thrown away their marriage for someone who treated her exactly the way she had treated him, like an option. The first few days after Emily moved out felt like living inside a nightmare that refused to end. The house was silent, cold, and empty. Just the faint smell of her perfume lingering in the hallway. Daniel tried to convince himself it was just temporary. She needs space, he kept repeating in his head, like a broken record. But as days turned into weeks, the reality started to sink in. She wasn't coming back, at least not anytime soon. He tried texting her once or twice, simple things like, "Hope you're doing okay," or "Miss you." But her replies were short, emotionless. "I'm fine, just need time." That was it. No heart, no warmth, no hint that she missed him too. At first, he thought maybe she was just overwhelmed. So he gave her space, thinking it was the mature thing to do. He focused on work, went to the gym, tried hanging out with friends. But nothing filled the hollow ache that lived inside him. Every night, when he came home to an empty house, he couldn't help but wonder where she was, and who she was with. One night, while scrolling aimlessly through social media, Daniel froze. His friend had posted a picture from a bar downtown. In the corner of the photo, almost out of focus, was Emily, laughing, sitting next to a man Daniel had never seen before. His chest tightened. He didn't say anything at first. He didn't want to jump to conclusions. But that image burned in his mind like fire. He tried to rationalize it. Maybe it's just a friend. Maybe she's just trying to distract herself. But deep down, a part of him knew the truth. She was moving on. The next few days, Daniel couldn't eat. He couldn't sleep. His mind was filled with questions, all leading to the same painful thought. Was our entire marriage just a lie? 2 weeks later, Emily texted him, "Can we meet for coffee?" For a brief moment, Daniel's heart jumped. Maybe she missed him. Maybe she realized what they had. But when they met, the look in her eyes told him everything before she even spoke. "I think it's best if we take more time apart," she said softly. "I don't know who I am anymore. I just need to find myself." Daniel nodded slowly, though his heart was breaking. "And this guy?" he asked quietly. Her eyes flickered. "He's just a friend. Don't make this harder than it already is." He wanted to scream, to ask how she could do this after everything they'd built. But instead, he just sat there in silence, holding his coffee cup tightly, pretending to be strong. After that day, Daniel stopped reaching out. He deleted her number, unfollowed her online, and decided to disappear completely. If she wanted space, she'd get all the space in the world. He threw himself into work, started eating healthy again, joined a local hiking group. Slowly, he began feeling human again. The pain was still there, but it was no longer in control. And for the first time in months, he felt something close to peace. Then, almost 3 months later, out of nowhere, Emily texted him again. "Hey, can we talk?" Daniel stared at the message for a long time. His heart beat faster, not with excitement this time, but confusion. Why now? When they met, Emily looked different. Tired, anxious, and uncertain. She smiled weakly. "I've been thinking a lot about us," she said. "About everything. I miss what we had." Daniel leaned back, keeping his voice calm. "What changed?" She sighed. "I made mistakes, okay? I thought I needed space, but all I found was loneliness. I was stupid. I just want to come home." For a long moment, Daniel said nothing. He watched her, searching for the sincerity he once knew in her eyes. But something inside him had shifted. The man who once begged for her love wasn't sitting across from her anymore. He'd rebuilt himself from the ground up. Finally, he said quietly, "You broke something that doesn't fix easily, Emily. I cared about you more than anyone. But the person you became, I don't even recognize her." Emily's eyes filled with tears. "So that's it? You're just going to give up on us?" Daniel took a deep breath. "I didn't give up. You did, the moment you walked away." As he stood to leave, she reached for his hand, but he gently pulled away. "I hope you find what you're looking for," he said. He walked out of that cafe into the cool evening air, feeling both heartbroken and free. It was the first time he realized maybe losing her wasn't the end. Maybe it was the beginning of getting himself back. Weeks passed since that final meeting, and Daniel truly believed that chapter of his life was over. He focused on himself like never before. His work performance improved, his confidence returned, and for the first time in years, he started smiling without forcing it. Then one evening, while out with a friend at a small restaurant, he overheard a conversation that froze him in place. Two women at the next table were talking about a girl named Emily and her new boyfriend, Jason. Daniel's heart skipped. That name, Jason. It sounded familiar. Later that night, curiosity got the better of him. He searched Emily's new social media again, something he hadn't done in months. There she was, photos of her smiling with Jason, the same guy from that bar photo months ago. Their captions were filled with quotes about new beginnings and true love finding you when you least expect it. Daniel sat there for a long time, staring at the screen. It wasn't the cheating that hurt most. It was the lies. The "I need space," the "I'm finding myself." She didn't need space. She needed him gone. But instead of anger, something else came over him. Clarity. He realized he didn't need revenge, at least not in the petty sense. His best revenge would be rebuilding his life so completely that she'd have no place in it. So that's what he did. He bought a new apartment, bright, modern, and peaceful. He started running every morning, eating clean, and joined a photography club he'd always wanted to try. His confidence grew, and so did his social circle. He made new friends, started going on casual dates, and for the first time in years, he felt like himself again. Not Emily's husband, just Daniel. But fate had a strange sense of timing. One Sunday morning, out of nowhere, Emily called. He ignored it. Then she texted, "Please, can we talk? It's important." Against his better judgment, he agreed to meet. They met at a quiet park, the same place they'd had picnics years ago when things were good. Emily looked miserable. Her makeup was messy, her eyes red. She spoke first. "I messed everything up," she said. "Jason isn't who I thought he was. He cheated on me, with someone from his office." Daniel stayed silent. He could feel a mix of emotions, pity, anger, disbelief, but mostly he felt distance. She was a stranger to him now. "I don't expect anything," she continued. "I just needed to tell you that I'm sorry. You were always the one who cared. I was just too blind to see it." Daniel nodded slowly. "I hope you find peace, Emily," he said. "But I can't go back." "That door's closed." Tears ran down her cheeks. "I know. I just wanted you to hear it from me." He wished her well and walked away. And this time, there was no pain, just peace. A few months later, something unexpected happened. Daniel's photography hobby started attracting attention online. People loved his nature photos, his calm perspective. He even got offered a small gallery feature downtown. When the exhibit opened, he saw a message request on Instagram. It was Emily again. "I saw your photos. I'm proud of you. You always had this strength. I just wish I'd realized it sooner." Daniel smiled to himself but didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. He'd moved on, not just from her, but from the version of himself that needed her validation. In the months that followed, Daniel met someone new, Sarah. She wasn't flashy or dramatic. She listened, cared, and treated him with genuine respect. With her, things felt calm and real. Sometimes Daniel would still think about Emily, not with anger, but with quiet acceptance. She had been a painful chapter, but she taught him the most valuable lesson of his life. Sometimes losing someone is how you find yourself. A year later, Daniel attended a mutual friend's wedding. Emily was there, sitting alone at the back. Their eyes met briefly. She smiled sadly, but Daniel simply nodded and turned back to Sarah, who was laughing beside him. That simple moment, being genuinely happy, at peace, and surrounded by love, was the best revenge he could have ever imagined. Because while Emily was still chasing new beginnings, Daniel had quietly built a better ending. Top Reddit comments say things like, "She left thinking the grass was greener, but it was just fake turf." His silence was louder than any revenge. She wanted space. He gave her a whole new universe. This ending hit hard. Peace really is the best revenge. One of the most satisfying stories I've ever heard here. Thanks for watching till the end. If this story hit you in the heart, you know what to do. Stick around. There's a lot more coming.